Pakistan terrorists killed 28 innocents. India vows befitting reply. Prime Minister to chair key security meet. What will be India's response? Five top ministers to decide.
Good evening. Welcome to our continuing coverage. In just a short while from now, the Cabinet Committee on Security is all set to begin, and all eyes on the Narendra Modi government's Cabinet Committee on Security. Remember what these terrorists had said. Remember what eyewitnesses had said. They had very clearly taken the Prime Minister's name as they killed husbands in front of their wives, as they killed fathers in front of their sons and daughters. They said, go tell Modi. That was a clear challenge thrown in the direction of the Narendra Modi government in general and the Prime Minister in particular. All eyes on Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government right now on the Cabinet Committee on Security. The Prime Minister cut short his visit to Saudi Arabia. He rushed back to India the moment this incident happened. The Home Minister was immediately tasked to go to Kashmir, go to Srinagar, take an on-the-ground assessment of the situation, and now he'll come back. He'll brief Prime Minister Narendra Modi, then he'll brief the Cabinet Committee on Security on what he saw. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has already been briefed by the three service chiefs, and the Prime Minister now is to chair this very crucial CCS after the Pahalgam terror attack. The Union Home Minister, the Union Defence Minister, the External Affairs Minister, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, they've all reached the Prime Minister's residence for this very important meeting. And I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Piyush Mishra, our man on ground, for more on this. Piyush, this perhaps is one of the most watched CCS meetings in recent times, where the conversation is all about what will India do? What will Prime Minister Narendra Modi's response to Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror be, Piyush?
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. And just ahead of this meeting, we remember as to how Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has made it very clear that the government will not only reach out to the perpetrators who are behind this, but also the people who plotted against our country, our country, and everybody will be brought to the task. That's what Defence Minister has assured. And as we are speaking, this meeting has begun. Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, along with Home Minister Amit Shah, and Ajit Doval, External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar, they all have reached. And let me straight away try to show you the visuals also from right outside the 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, where we are seeing the traffic movement, which has also been affected as the convoy of both top ministers of the government, Home Minister Amit Shah and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. This convoy is parked right in front of the main entry gate of 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, and the gates, those are there on your television screens right now, is going to be the place from where we are going to keep a close watch on as to who all are now going to take part in this crucial meet. As we are speaking, the top three ministers, Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and Ajit Doval, along with him Union External Affairs Minister S. Shankar, they all have reached, and what we are also learning is that other officials from intelligence agencies, even they could also be the part of this meetup. Also at 7 p.m. Gaurav, there is a briefing also by Ministry of External Affairs, and in that briefing we will be able to know how the government is moving ahead as far as fulfilling its promise of giving a befitting reply to the people who are behind this.
Very interesting. So External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jai Shankar will be briefing, and this becomes very significant. Not only is one of the senior most leaders or ministers in the Narendra Modi government a part of the Cabinet Committee on Security, briefing the media or telling the world India's stance. So this is where India is making its stance very clear. not just to that radical Islamist state sponsor of terror, but to the entire world. And that is why one of the most articulate voices of Government of India, somebody whose thinking is completely in sync with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, somebody who's voiced India's opinion, especially on the bigotry that we see in the DNA of Pakistan, Dr. S. Jaishankar. He will be briefing the media at 7:30. And you watch all of that here on India Today, because it's on India Today that you get news first, factual, and in the country's interest, in national interest. I want to bring in Jitendra Bahadur Singh, who joins me on this special broadcast. And Jitendra has been tracking all developments in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Jitendra, गृह मंत्री कश्मीर कल ही पहुंच गए थे इस घटना के कुछ घंटों बाद, और उसके बाद न केवल वो पीड़ितों से मिले हैं जिनको इन आतंकवादियों ने, दुर्दांत आतंकवादियों ने जिस तरह से मौत के घाट उतारा, उनके परिवारों से मिले, बल्कि सुरक्षा का पूरा उन्होंने जायजा लिया। उसके बाद हम किस तरह के परिवर्तन की बात कर रहे हैं आंतरिक सुरक्षा में, पहली बात। और दूसरी बात, क्या इस बात के अब ठोस सबूत निकलकर सामने आए हैं जो दुनिया के सामने रख सकते हैं कि इसमें पाकिस्तान का हाथ था?
गौरव, पिछले 24 घंटे से हम केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह को फॉलो कर रहे हैं। जब कल उन्होंने बैठक शुरू की, उसके बाद यहां से जब वो रवाना हुए कश्मीर के लिए, और लगातार वो कश्मीर में सुरक्षा एजेंसियों के साथ बैठक भी उनकी तरफ से किया। उनके चेहरे का भाव मैं इस वक्त देख रहा हूं। और अभी जब वो सीसीएस की बैठक के लिए निकले तो उनके हाथों में एक लाल कलर की फाइल थी। यानी कि किस तरीके का उस लाल कलर की जो फाइल का मतलब क्या है, वो इस बैठक के बाद तय होगा। और 7:30 बजे जो विदेश मंत्री के द्वारा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की जाएगी, उसमें तमाम चीजें क्लियर होगी। लेकिन केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह का जो चेहरा हम इस वक्त देख रहे हैं, वो काफी गुस्से में है। और उनको जिस तरीके से हमने देखा कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेज जब वो हेलीकॉप्टर के जरिए उस एरिया का जहां पर आतंकवादियों ने ताबड़तोड़ फायरिंग की, वहां पर हेलीकॉप्टर से उन्होंने पूरा रेकी भी किया, देखा। अब उन्होंने जो सूत्र हमारे बताते हैं कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस को पूरी तरीके से निर्देश उनकी तरफ से दिया गया है कि जिन आतंकवादियों ने इस पूरी कायराना हरकत को उनकी तरफ से अंजाम दिया गया है, उनके खिलाफ बड़ी कार्रवाई हो। और इसीलिए हमने देखा कि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस लगातार उन इलाकों में, जो जंगल के इलाके हैं, वहां पर कॉम्बिंग ऑपरेशन कर रहे हैं। लगातार जो है ऑपरेशन अलग अलग स्थानों पर किए जा रहे हैं। कुछ जगहों से खबरें भी आ रही हैं आतंकवादियों के ढेर करने की। लेकिन जिन आतंकवादियों ने इस वैली में जाकर के जो पर्यटक हैं उनके ऊपर हमला किया, अभी उन आतंकवादियों को सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के द्वारा ढूंढा जा रहा है और उनके खिलाफ कड़ी कार्रवाई होगी। हालांकि
लेकिन जो रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने कहा, जी आप रहिए मेरे साथ जितेंद्र, क्योंकि आप महत्वपूर्ण बात बता रहे हैं। ऑल्सो ज्वाइनिंग मी इज माय कोलीग मुनीश पांडे ऑन द स्पेशल ब्रॉडकास्ट। जो आप महत्वपूर्ण बात यह बता रहे थे कि न केवल वो आतंकवादी जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया, रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने क्या कहा? रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह ने साफ किया, पर्दे के पीछे से जो दिशा दे रहे थे इस आतंक को, उनको भी जोरदार जवाब मिलेगा। एंड मुनीश, that very clearly sets the agenda of what the Narendra Modi government intends to do. Not just those terrorists who were involved in this terror attack, but those who were behind the scenes directing this terror attack. So what kind of evidence has India been able to gather? Is the External Affairs Minister expected to present that to the world, or enough of dossiers? We've done that year after year, decade after decade after 26/11. You and I were reporting from Mumbai. Now it's time to keep India safe, whatever it takes.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And in last 24 hours, what we have seen is the intelligence gathering by the security forces. Now, what we have gathered from our sources within the intelligence agencies, that the amount of evidence they have gathered, it is undeniable that it is Pakistan. It is Pakistan behind this, coward attack. Now, as far as, the evidence are concerned, a few things which we have been told by the intelligence sources, security forces, is the use of military-grade weapons. Apart from that, the advanced communication devices which were used by these terrorists, that indicates that it was again the involvement of Pakistan. Trained handlers, these are some undeniable evidence. But the most important part is, Gaurav, the intelligence sources are indicating that the operatives were sitting in Muzaffarabad and in Karachi, and that is why we are seeing such a strong response from the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, strong response from the government. And Gaurav, we have seen in past also what this government is capable of doing when such incidents happens in our country on our soil. So in this meeting also, it is expected that some concrete steps, some concrete decision will be taken. Pakistan will be given a bloody nose. But at this point of time, what we are hearing is that dossier has been prepared with all the evidence, which will be presented before the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Okay.
And based on that, further decision will be taken. Gaurav.
Interesting, you should point this out. So, India, if you notice, legally, whatever India does is on a very solid footing so that nobody can question India in the international court and or in any international forum. Each time, India has given Pakistan an opportunity to come clean. Remember, even after Pakistani terrorists had attacked the Indian Air Force base in Pathankot, much against what everyone in the security apparatus was saying, Prime Minister Narendra Modi permitted Pakistanis to come into India, including that dreaded radical Islamist intelligence agency called the ISI. They were permitted to come to Pathankot, assess for themselves and go back with the hope and, of course, expectation that any decent country would have, that they will go and punish the perpetrators. Did they? They did not. And that is why Pakistan, whatever action India takes, it will be justified, because India's expectations of Pakistan, Piyush, they've always in the past, we've given them dossier after dossier after dossier, whether it was 1993, blasts about Dawood Ibrahim, Tiger Memon, living in Karachi, given them addresses in Karachi. Under American request, pressure, whatever you may want to call it, previous governments in the past have given details of active live location of terrorists in Pakistan, expecting Pakistan to take action against them. Pakistan just encouraged those terrorists to leave. So no point giving a dossier to that radical Islamist terror state, Piyush.
Well, certainly, Gaurav, we have taken a lot of decisions to isolate Pakistan, but it seems like a lot needs to be done. And for that, the government is working on that. We are seeing as to how since morning, PM Narendra Modi has been holding a series of meetings. He was briefed the moment he landed at Pahalgam Technical Airport. And as we are speaking, he is chairing the crucial Cabinet Committee on a Security meeting. Remember that we have multiple times shown the real face of Pakistan. We have shown the mirror. In fact, Pakistan has been exposed on international platform also multiple times, but Pakistan has always denied, its involvement in carrying out terror attacks against India. And today also we saw how there was an official statement which was released by Pakistan where it claimed that this attack has taken place because of the internal disturbance in India. It has happened because people are not happy with the government. So we have seen how multiple times Pakistan has been denying this, but yes, we have evidence. We have all the proofs, and like Munish was also telling us that in the last 24 hours, our security agencies have been able to gather undeniable allegations against Pakistan, and certainly we will go all out against Pakistan and tell them as to how their involvement is there in this terror attack also, because it is the biggest ever terror attack carried out against civilians since 26/11. We remember that, when last time in year 2000, when Bill Clinton, the then American president, was to visit India on March 21 to 24. On March 20th, the dastardly attack was carried out in Anantnag, where around 36 Sikhs were massacred. And at that time also, Pakistan had denied. And as far as this
surprised.
entire attack is concerned, we are now seeing how this attack has taken place at a time when US Vice President JD once was on his visit, and then this attack has been carried out. So clearly, Pakistan wants to send out a message to international community. But yes, India is certainly going to take actions, and for that, the assurance has already been made by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh.
Pakistan should actually be called Denialistan if it's not called Terroristan, because that is exactly what that radical Islamist state sponsor of terror is. But Jitendra, मैं आपसे समझना चाहता हूं इस समय कि किस तरह के सबूत भारत के पास हैं, क्योंकि वैसे तो दुनिया को कन्विंस करने की, बताने की आवश्यकता है नहीं, दुनिया पीड़ित है पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंकवाद से, लेकिन किस तरह के सबूत भारत के पास हैं इस समय?
और देखिए गौरव, भारत के पास इस वक्त पुख्ता सबूत इस हमले को लेकर के आ चुके हैं, जो हमारे सूत्र बताते हैं, क्योंकि सैफुल्ला कसूरी है उसके बारे में जानकारी मिली है कि रावलकोट में 2 लश्कर के आतंकवादी जो कमांडर हैं उनके साथ इसकी बैठक हुई और वही एक बड़ा मास्टरमाइंड है, उसके बारे में जानकारी मिली। ये आतंकी जो है ये कुछ दिन पहले जो है पहले से ही जम्मू कश्मीर में घुस चुके थे। 2 जो पाकिस्तानी आतंकी हैं जिनके बारे में पता चल रहा है कि वो पश्तो लैंग्वेज बोल रहे थे। सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज जब उस इलाके में पहुंची और जब उन्होंने वहां के लोकल से बात किया तो उन्होंने जानकारी दिया कि पश्तो लैंग्वेज में आपस में बातचीत कर रहे थे। तो इस तरीके से कि पाकिस्तान से भेजे गए ये आतंकी जो हैं इनके बारे में जानकारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के पास आ चुकी। एनआईए को रोप इन किया गया इस पूरे इलाके में। एनआईए वहां पर मौजूद है। इस पूरे केस को लेकर के आईजी स्तर के अधिकारी हैं, एक डीआईजी, एसपी एनआईए के मौजूद हैं। इस पूरे केस को एनआईए की तरफ से पूरा देखा जाएगा। जिस तरीके से हमने देखा कि पुलवामा में अटैक हुआ था, उस दौरान एनआईए ने सीधे सीधे तौर पर जो पाकिस्तान में बैठे आतंकी हैं, जैश ए मोहम्मद के आतंकी, उन आतंकवादियों का पूरी तरीके से इसमें हाथ था। तो यहां पर जिस तरीके से लश्कर तैयबा का जो मुखौटा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है टीआरएफ, उसका सीधे सीधे तौर पर हाथ आ रहा है और सैफुल्ला कसूरी जो है एक बड़ा आतंकी मास्टरमाइंड है जो कि लगातार आतंकियों को रेडिकलाइज करता है। उसके साथ साथ वो भारत भेजने के लिए जो यहाँ के ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं उनको फंडिंग भी करता है। तो इस तरीके की जानकारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज के पास आ चुकी है, जिसको लेकर के एनआईए अब इस पर एक्शन आने समय में लेगी।
जी, यही दुर्भाग्य है कि धर्म के नाम पर आतंक का खेल खेलता है ये कुटिल देश पाकिस्तान। एंड Munish, I want to understand this from you in greater detail because as far as government of India is concerned, one Balakot clearly in 2019 wasn't enough to send across that message to Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure that there will be costs on terror. Or are we to understand that every army chief in Pakistan thinks that he is the Mohammed bin Qasim incarnate? Every Pakistani army chief thinks he is the Muhammad Ghori and Mahmood of Ghazni incarnate, that he will come and he will win Kashmir or India. That is their mindset, and Asim Munir perhaps is amongst the worst of the lot. If we were to understand India's strategy, since you've been speaking to your sources, what is the way India intends to move forward from this point in dealing with Pakistan terror?
Well, Gaurav, one thing is very clear. Thinking that Pakistan is going to act on the evidence given by India or Indian intelligence agencies, it won't be right, because we have seen in 2011 terror attack case also, when India presented the evidence before the Pakistan, they denied. Gaurav, you remember that video of Ajmal Kasab,
yes,
where he, on camera, he accepted that he is from Pakistan, he came to India, and he killed the innocent people in Taj Hotel. But again, Pakistan denied. We sent a reporter in Pakistan who identified where Kasab was living in Pakistan, but again, Pakistan denied. Not only that, in 2611 case or even in train blast case, we sent the details of those Pakistani individuals who crossed the borders, came to India and, did the terror attack, but Pakistan has been in denial again. But this time, I think India is preparing to give a befitting reply to Pakistan, because Pakistan is not going to learn lesson if there is a, if there is a diplomatic pressure from India, because Pakistan is isolated. The entire world knows the face of Pakistan, right from US to European countries. Every country has come in support of India, even in this, Pahalgam attack. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, they are isolated in the eyes of all the important countries,
yes,
but they are not going to act, and that is why it is expected that based on the evidence, the government is going to act very strictly against Pakistan this time.
You know, Pakistani terror has been bleeding India for decades, but somewhere down the line, Piyush, will the Prime Minister also be talking about perhaps internally how we need to strengthen the security grid, and how the security grid wasn't in place at all in Jammu and Kashmir, and especially in Pahalgam, which was literally bursting at the seams when it comes to these terrorists. What more can you tell us about where internally there were so many places where India has been found wanting?
Well, certainly, a lot of challenges have come in front after this attack because when the tourists were there enjoying the scenic beauty of Kashmir, they are at meadows in Mughal Garden. What we are now given to understand is that in the periphery of that entire area, there was not enough presence of security forces. So now the country needs to identify these spots. We'll have to also look into the challenges which it faces whenever there is a peak in tourism, whenever there is a peak in tourist season. So there are multiple things on which the government will have to work on. And in this meeting, which is right now going on, the Cabinet Committee on Security meeting, we can certainly expect Home Minister Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to brief Prime Minister about the current situation and also point out the challenges which the government is also facing as far as the security apparatus is concerned. Also,
Clearly,
it's
deployment.
very much important to highlight about the involvement of local support to these terrorists. So there are multiple things on which the discussions will be focused on. We'll have to see what happens after this meeting comes to an end.
Because so far, जितेंद्र, मैं समझना चाहता हूं कि 2019 के बाद से जब एक बार बालाकोट में वो प्रिवेंटिव एयर स्ट्राइक्स हो गई, उसके बाद से यह पाया गया कि पुलवामा में लोकल सपोर्ट आतंकवादियों को मिलता था और उस लोकल सपोर्ट को खत्म करने के लिए और खासतौर पर अनुच्छेद 370 हटने के बाद इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट की रेड, इन्फोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट की रेड, सीबीआई की रेड, तमाम तलाशी, प्रयास यह था कि आतंकवादियों के पास जो पैसा आता है, जो ओजीडब्ल्यू या ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर के पास पैसा आता है, उसको सिस्टम से सक आउट कर लिया जाए, उसको सिस्टम से निकाल दिया जाए। पैसा नहीं होगा तो पत्थरबाजी नहीं होगी। तो गनीमत यह है कि ईश्वर की कृपा से पत्थरबाजी तो रुक गई, लेकिन आतंक को समर्थन क्या यह धर्म के नाम पर अभी भी मिल रहा है? क्या आतंक के समर्थन की कमर तोड़ने में अभी भी सरकार सफल नहीं हो पाई है, जितेंद्र?
और देखिए गौरव, जिस तरीके से आतंकवादियों ने वहां पर कृत्य किया है, उन्होंने धर्म पूछ करके, नाम पूछ करके गोलियां चलाई हैं। ऐसे में ये लगता है कि आतंकवादियों के जिस तरीके के मंसूबे थे, कुछ उसी तरीके का सपोर्ट उसको वहां से लोकल जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं उनसे मिल रहा था। हालांकि एनआईए की तरफ से कई बार एक्शन किए गए, चाहे वो टीआरएफ का या फिर जैश ए मोहम्मद या लश्कर के आतंकियों के जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर रहे हैं, उनके खिलाफ कई बार एक्शन किए गए। एफआईआर भी एनआईए की तरफ से दर्ज किया गया और रेड्स भी कई बार मारे गए। लेकिन जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं, उनको किस तरीके से जो आतंकी कमांडर्स हैं जो पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर या फिर पाकिस्तान में मौजूद हैं, वो रेडिकलाइज कर रहे हैं। फंडिंग जो उनको हो रही है, उसको एजेंसीज जो है पूरी तरीके से रोकने में कामयाब नहीं हो रही। इसी वजह से हमने देखा कि पिछले कुछ दिनों में जो पहले हथियार भेजने का उनका तरीका होता था, उस तरीके को उन्होंने पूरी तरीके से अलग सिस्टम अपनाया और ड्रोन के जरिए हथियार भेजने का। जम्मू रीजन में भी ड्रोन के जरिए कई बार हथियार और पिस्टल्स जो हैं वो पकड़े गए हैं। तो एजेंसीज इस बात को लेकर के देख रही हैं कि जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं वो किस तरीके से। एक जानकारी ये भी है कि जो हाइब्रिड टेररिस्ट हैं वो पूरी तरीके से बहुत ज्यादा खतरा पैदा करते हैं इस इलाके में, क्योंकि वैसे आतंकी जो पहले सिविलियन की तरह उन इलाकों में रहते हैं और अचानक से ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर या फिर आतंकी अटैक कर देते हैं और टारगेटेड किलिंग करने में इन हाइब्रिड आतंकियों का पूरा हाथ रहता है। तो ये लोग जो है पाकिस्तान से जो आतंकी आते हैं उनको ये पूरी तरीके से संरक्षण देते हैं। आज हमने एक खुफिया एजेंसी के अधिकारी से बातचीत किया, उनकी तरफ से कहा गया कि पूरी तरीके से हम लोग जो इनके ऊपर टेक्निकल सर्विलांस बैठा करके रखते थे, मोबाइल से इनकी जो बातचीत होती थी, उन तमाम चीजों पर नजर रखा जाता था। अब इन्होंने पूरी तरीके से ये बातचीत करना बंद कर दिया है और इनके जो ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर हैं वो मैसेज, चिट्ठी और इस तरीके से लेकर के जाते हैं। अटैक कहां करना है उसको जानकारी ये लोग माउथ टू माउथ देते हैं। तो एक तरीके का नया प्लान इनकी तरफ से तैयार किया गया है, जो एजेंसीज के लिए एक बड़ा सिरदर्द है और एजेंसीज इसको लेकर के भी काम कर रहे हैं।
Munish, stay with me, and I want to talk to our team, and I want our viewers to understand these terms. Hybrid terrorist. He could be like you and I during the day, working in maybe a restaurant, maybe some office, maybe a school teacher, maybe a professor, may just be a police officer, maybe some other service, maybe somewhere else, but a terrorist, and he moonlights as a terrorist. So he'll carry out a terror attack, he'll be given a weapon, carry out a terror attack, return that weapon, and come back in mainstream. हमारी आस्तीन में असल सांप जो है ना, वो यही हाइब्रिड टेररिस्ट है, सिटिंग अमंगस्ट अस एंड ब्लीडिंग अस. The overground worker and the hybrid terrorist. These are terms we will decode with our analysts and experts. And Munish, stay with me. But I want to take our viewers to what happened at Pahalgam, because every Indian must know this. These terrorists had specific targets in mind. They deliberately chose the meadow in Pahalgam. Why? It's away from the roadhead and not just a couple of meters or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes walk. If you walk slow, it's an hour away, otherwise half an hour to 45 minutes away. So they know, and the internet signal very poor there, phone connectivity extremely poor there. That is something for the telecom minister now to look into. But I'll also tell you the flip side of that story in a moment. But understand this: phone connectivity poor, network poor, takes 45 minutes to go there. The moment terrorists carried out that terror attack, it took more than 45 minutes for that information to filter down to the security forces. Why weren't they deployed there is the big question when there are hundreds of tourists there. One chowki, 10 police personnel or CRPF personnel, one QRT. There are many questions that remain unanswered. But then do keep in mind the terrorists, sadly, they're a step ahead of our security forces in Kashmir. At least this incident seems to indicate that.
These are the faces of terror. The Pakistan-backed terrorists who opened fire at unsuspecting tourists. 3 of them, Asif Fauji, Suleiman Shah and Abu Talha, were part of the LET proxy Falcon squad. Probe agencies have released these sketches of the terrorists. Forensic analysis and survivor testimonies have revealed shattering details. Terrorists used military-grade weapons, suggesting that the attackers were well-equipped and well-trained. They used advanced communication devices, indicating coordination and external logistical support. The precision and planning of the attack points to involvement of trained handlers, not local amateurs. Intelligence intercepts point to direct links between the attackers and Pakistan-based operatives. Digital footprints of the attackers have been traced to safe houses in Muzaffarabad and Karachi. Pahalgam terrorists had clear targets in mind. They chose Baisaran Valley deliberately, a non-motorable area, knowing that there will be no place for tourists to hide and that rescue will take time. Were government officials and families primary targets of terrorists? Sources have told India Today that it was a specific operation as some government officials and families were on a group vacation in Pahalgam. Terrorists checked identity cards before killing victims. Some government officials are also among those injured. 3 judges of Kerala High Court are also among the survivors. They left Pahalgam hours before the attack. India has vowed a strong and befitting response.
और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है. हम उन तक भी पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं. मैं इस मंच से देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करता हूं, घटना के मद्देनजर भारत सरकार वो हर कदम उठाएगी जो जरूरी और उपयुक्त होगा.
All eyes now are on India's response. What will it be and when? With Munish Pandey and Manjeet Negi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And I want to take you straight to Karnal in Haryana. Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's mortal remains have just reached home, and it seems the entire city, entire Karnal, has come out to pay their last respects to the brave young Indian Navy officer who was killed by these Pakistani terrorists in Pahalgam. He just got married last week. On the 16th, they got married. Incidentally, from what friends are telling India Today, that they wanted to go overseas for their honeymoon. There were some issues with the visa, so they decided to go to Kashmir instead. I want to bring in my colleague Asim Basri. Asim, it seems entire Karnal, or more than Karnal, it seems the entire Haryana is there to pay their last respects to this brave son of our country.
Yeah, everybody's in pain, and in Karnal, Vinay Nawal is known for his popularity, for being a very, very sincere guy, and it is very sad that the way he has been killed. He just got married last week, and here are the visuals you can see outside the house of Vinay Nawal in Sector 7 of Karnal, where the people have gathered in big number. Even the naval officials have come in big number, because he is a lieutenant of the Indian Navy, and very soon his dead body has been taken inside the house, and very soon, in few minutes, his dead body will be placed in this van, and he will be taken to the local crematorium for the cremation. And we spoke to his grandfather in the morning, his maternal uncle in the morning, and they all said that Vinay was a very brave person, and he always wanted to be to serve the nation by joining the forces, either military or Air Force or Navy. So eventually he joined the Navy. I will tell you that this is the same family which is in a happy mode last week, because on 16th of April, Vinay Nawal got married. And on 19th of April, there was a reception party of the couple, and thereafter they went to Kashmir for the honeymoon. But nobody knew that this would happen, this tragic incident would happen out there. And yes, a lot of people from Karnal have come out of the houses, come out of the streets to the house of Vinay Nawal to express their solidarity with the family. And a few minutes back, when the dead body of Vinay Nawal came, there was a huge protest against Pakistan. Everybody was raising slogans against Pakistan. The family was demanding an action against Pakistan, and it clearly shows the kind of anger and the kind of pain not only the family is going through, but every Indian is going through after this kind of an attack which has taken place, and left everybody shocked that how innocent tourists who had gone for some fun, some holiday, for a good time there with their families, near ones and dear ones, and how this entire thing happened, and many of the people who were roaming there in Pahalgam were targeted, and 28 innocent tourists were gunned down. You can see now the slogans, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Oh, absolutely.
These are the scenes here in Karnal where Vinay Nawal lived all his
life. True
life.
Bharat Mata Ki Jai would be when you can keep India safe from Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Okay, this breaking news that's coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. I quickly want to cut across to Kulgam, where breaking news is coming in. An encounter has broken out between security forces and suspected terrorists. This is in the Tanmarg area. It is in the Tanmarg area in Kulgam, where we are told a top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, remember Lashkar-e-Taiba, ever since 2019 is trying to peddle a secular name called the Resistance Front, so that the hackles of the world are not raised when the real name Lashkar-e-Taiba is known to the world. So we're told there's an encounter underway. I want to cut across to Ashraf Wani, who gets us more on the story. Ashraf, what more can you tell us about the terrorist who's trapped and the encounter that's on?
Absolutely, Gaurav. Basically, this is a major success so far for the security forces within hours after the heinous terror incident in the Pahalgam. The security forces have managed to establish a contact with one of the top Lashkar commanders in the Kulgam, who was hiding in the Tangmarg area of Kulgam district in South Kashmir. This village, Tangmarg, is a forested area. It is far from the Kulgam town, and it is believed that the Lashkar commander with one of his associates probably is hiding in that particular area. There is exchange of fire currently going on. Security forces have cornered this specific area where this encounter is going on, and have sealed all the exit and entry points towards that area, so that these terrorists could not manage to flee from the area if they are one or two. But currently the exchange of fire from the both sides is going on, and the additional forces rushing to the spot so that this Lashkar commander could be neutralized, and it will be a big relief for those all victims who had been killed in the Pahalgam terror attack.
Ashraf, for the moment, many thanks for joining me on this. While it's important to kill terrorists who are caught here, do keep in mind these terrorists, they're the lowest of the low in that terror hierarchy. They are extras. They are like the scum of the earth anyways, but then they're like pruning leaves and branches of the terror tree with roots in Pakistan. Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former Kashmir Corps commander, and Lieutenant General Satish Dua, former Kashmir Corps commander. I have two former Kashmir Corps commanders joining me on this special broadcast, and two men who have great experience on ground in Jammu and Kashmir. I've interacted with them while they were co-commanders, and very difficult phase. General Dua, when the terrorist was killed in Anantnag, and General Dhillon, General Tiny Dhillon, when that Pulwama terror attack happened, and when Balakot happened and counter-terror operations were initiated after that in a huge way. General Dua, if I may, even if a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist here is killed, isn't that like just pruning the branches of the terror tree? There'll be another one, and there'll be many more. What more needs to be done this time for India to send across that message? Enough is enough.
Gaurav, you're right. It's such a sad day. I mean, yesterday, the kind of carnage that we've seen. You are right to say that if you kill a few terrorists, then somebody more will come. His place will be taken by somebody else. However, we can't let the terrorists get away.
Absolutely.
Whenever we have information, we have to act on all the information. And especially now, the hunt is on for all the terrorists, whether they perpetrated the yesterday's carnage or not. So we have to have operations in Pahalgam, around anywhere in Kashmir, South Kashmir, anywhere. So this is the area of Tangmar where this is happening, and it must be brought to fruition. It is closer to Gulmarg, actually.
Yes.
But the point, the question that you raise, and that's the main point. Should it happen? So this is the only operations. I think we cannot be content by doing operations in Pahalgam or around Pahalgam or only in Kashmir. It has to spill over beyond Pahalgam. It has to spill over perhaps beyond Kashmir. If they can kill tourists, which is a low because it has never been done before. Normally, terrorists do not kill tourists or attack tourists because they actually provide livelihood to all the local people.
Yes.
Okay. Having said that, you know, when we lost 18 brave hearts in Udi when I was the Corps commander.
Yes.
I'm answering, in response to your question. Mr. Parikar, late Mr. Parikar, the defense minister, landed up that very day.
Yes.
Much against my protestations, actually. So he landed up that very day. He wanted to go to Udi. Udi operation was still on. And right there, the army chief was there, Northern Army commander was there. Right there, he gave permission to launch what is now known as surgical strike. That was a bold response. And this time we see that the home minister landed up that very day. The NSA, the defense minister has been there, and we read between the lines of, in fact, we don't have to read between the lines. The defense minister has very clearly said, हम उनको जिन्होंने इसको अंजाम दिया उनको तो हम उनके ऊपर तो ऑपरेशन होगा उनको तो we'll bring them to justice, but we will also जो पर्दे के पीछे जिन्होंने जो इसको प्लानिंग करते हैं, and the pointer is very clear, who's perpetrating this?
Absolutely.
It is very clear. And so we have to have a bold response.
Bold response is required right now. And General Dhillon, in your appreciation, I have one co-commander who was with me when the surgical strike happened. I have one co-commander with me when the airstrikes in Balakot happened. So I want to understand from you, yet Pakistan continues to bleed India. So what next? What should India's next response be? Kinetic, non-kinetic, or both and more? General Tiny Dhillon, sir.
Gaurav, good evening to you and good evening to you here, viewers, as also to good evening to General Dua. And I agree with General Dua's points. And now specifically answering your question, what response? As General Dua said, killing of this terrorist in Kashmir is an ongoing thing. It's not going to get anywhere. This will continue. The army will continue to do this operation. Security forces will continue to do this operation. What is most important is the main players who carried out this. And the main player is the Pakistan army.
Yes.
This operation was carried out with military precision, which only a military person can make a plan like this. No, like you narrated everything. It's an isolated, tourist place. It is away from the roadhead. There's a poor connectivity. And Vice President of USA is in our country. Our Prime Minister is in Saudi Arabia. Any big action in Kashmir will hog the limelights and bring Kashmir back to the front burner. And now connect this to what Army Chief of Pakistan said a few days ago.
Yes.
He said Kashmir is a jugular vein for them. And exactly that has happened. He said Hindus and Muslims or Islam are two different people and they cannot be, their Islam is superior and words to that effect. And exactly that happened. The terrorists segregated the Hindus from others and killed them in cold blood. Now you see, this Asim Munir had given this indication that this is how they are going to handle Kashmir. That means this planning was already in the pipeline and he was aware of it. Now coming to what response, as you said. Response has to be very, very tough, big, and at the time and place of one choosing against the Pakistan army.
Against the Pakistan army.
Because it must be there where it hurts, where it pains, and where it bleeds.
Okay.
And it has to be a whole of nation approach. It has to be a whole of nation response. Military option will be part of that whole of nation approach. When I say whole of the nation approach, in addition to the military options, there will be diplomatic options, there will be political options, there will be economic options, and there will be options which we can't discuss on the TV and which can be reignited.
I want to understand when people say that India should relook the Indus Water Treaty, General Dua. What does that mean and what would that do to Pakistan? Because they would perhaps run to some international court, they would run to some international body and they would say for a terror attack, we're trying to starve Pakistan's people, population, agriculture. What does relooking the Indus Water Treaty mean in your appreciation?
Gaurav, for that, I beg your pardon, for that, we have to have two things. One is a resolve or an intent to do that, to use the Indus Water Treaty as an upper riparian state, to use that as leverage. And second, we have to create capacities.
Yes.
It takes a long time to be able to create capacities that we can use water as leverage. Because dams on such rivers take a long gestation period. Absolutely. And we have to create that ability to be able to do that.
And we anyway have run-of-the-river dams. Yeah, go on, sir.
Yeah, no, but let me tell you, there is a better option.
Yes.
Because in the same Indus Water Treaty, in all the rivers, the upper three rivers, including Indus, we are entitled, India is to get 20%, is 19.58%, approximately 20% of the water share is ours.
Yes.
But do you know that we are unable to actually utilize our 20% itself? If we start utilizing what is within the treaty also, we utilize our 20%, Pakistan's Punjab, the farmer will be up in arms because their crop will then suffocate.
Yes.
Now we need to use that very smartly. And yes, you got a point. If we have to create those capacities so that we should be able to say that we hold this leverage. If Pakistan can go to such low and the kind of terror, the killing of civilians, soldiers, mutilating bodies, I mean, what not they've done. So I think you're right. We can create capacities in the long run, but in the short term, we need to at least utilize our own water, which itself will have a telling effect on the Pakistan Punjab farmers.
Okay, so that's point one. Point two, yes, General Dhillon wants to come in because I want to discuss kinetic options and I want to discuss non-kinetic options because Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure must pay, and perhaps in Pakistan's Punjab province, General Dhillon.
Yeah, Gaurav, exactly the point which you made about Indus Water Treaty and General Dua explained the whole thing. For the benefit of your viewers, I want to explain the geographical aspects of it.
Sir.
The grain of the country in our part of the world is from northeast to southwest.
Yes.
That means the water which starts in Ladakh goes into the Arabian Sea somewhere in the province of Sindh in Pakistan.
Yes.
That means if the upper three rivers, as General Dua is referring to, if we block the water or if we even cut down the water will flow northwest of Pakistani Punjab. And with the grain being northeast to southwest, there no way they can bring the water of these rivers into the province of Punjab without constructing additional rivers like BRBL and that Bediya Canal.
Yes.
So that is why upper three rivers, if we stop the water, the Punjabi Pakistani Mussalman will starve of water and the crops.
Yes.
It is very important in the long term we build capacities to harness that water, which is ours, and bring it to our part of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, and down to Delhi and Western UP and Rajasthan. Therefore, this is the thing which will hurt Pakistan for generations.
Yes.
The Pakistani Punjab will become a desert if we can do this in the long run, and this is a very viable option remaining within the international norms.
Okay.
That's what I will give this additional point of the grain of the country for the benefit of the viewers.
Oh, absolutely. Because, water for Pakistan cannot be more important than blood of Indians. And I want to bring in General Raj Shukla, former army commander, somebody who's war-gamed, dealing with Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror for decades. And General, your appreciation, what would options be before the Cabinet Committee on Security today in terms of India's options to send across a message to Pakistan? Terror is no longer acceptable to India.
So, Gaurav, thank you. I have no idea of what the Cabinet Committee on Security is discussing. I simply don't know. But I have a view on the matter. And just let me say what I think could be done or should be done. You see, this is a straight message from General Asif Munir, ISI, and the Pak Army, which is challenging the restoration of normalcy in J&K, restoration of democracy. In fact, it's a challenge to Indian democracy. They have done this in the past and we responded. Surgical strikes were done when General Dua was the commander. If I remember right, when Tiny Dillon was the GOC-15 Corps, we responded by way of Balakot. And those worked for a while. They worked for a pretty long time. So the point I'm making is that credible military responses work. Now the time is very clear to re-establish military deterrence.
Okay.
And while we must do everything, I mean, I've heard diplomatic options, Indus Water Treaty. I'm no expert on the Indus Water Treaty. But at the moment, the thing that is foremost in my mind is a sophisticated, calibrated military response.
Okay.
Now, what the precise metrics of that response could be, it could be limited, it could stretch across domains. But the message has to go straight to General Asim Munir, his ISI apparatus, the perpetrators behind this, that listen, next time the thought crosses your mind, you think 6 times.
Okay.
Is it possible to convert this into a military possibility? Very much. Are there risks involved? Certainly. We can de-risk those responses to the extent possible, but I think we have no option. We have to go for it. And just one short point I wish to make.
Go on, sir.
Look at the, shall I use this word? I don't know, the stupidity of Pakistani statecraft.
Yes.
If they thought that they will turn the spotlight on Kashmir, they have ended up turning the spotlight on themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
The entirely international community is saying that look at this pariah state on terror, and therefore, can we follow it up to another level?
That's the pariah state. Unfortunately, they've done it each time. Unfortunately, run out of time on this part of the show. But this is a story we'll be tracking very, very closely. Gentlemen, for joining me here on India Today, many thanks.